Hi, I just got the key for the new EEVblog lab. Let's check it out. Yes, the door is yellow. We're in Lake Flynn. Oh, sorry. Tripod, feet. And ta-da! I'll do my best to show you around. This is the widest angle I've got. Yes, this is the new EEVblog lab. Just got the key, 100 square meters-ish or thereabouts. So it is big and vacant and echoey at the moment. I've got the aircon on, so it is quite low in terms of, well, I guess. Let's talk about the space first. Let's have a look. Over here we have, well, you've got your kitchenette, as is very typical in these corporate office complexes. I should say that, oh, come on, camera, hang on. I should say that this is like within walking distance of my old lab, so I don't have to pack everything in a car or a truck or whatever and transport it over. He should be able to get everything over on trolleys, so beauty. And yes, I still have access to the same dumpster room, so don't worry about it. So let's have a look. This is like I've got 4 office cubicles, so there's one there, or one there. They all have, they've got views, we've got windows. So we've got 3 windowed offices, which is great because we don't have that at the moment. David and I just sit like, like directly opposite each other in one big open plan thing. And when I'm editing video, he gets annoyed, and when he's editing video, I get annoyed, and vice versa. You know, so hopefully, like, we can just like shut the door now, and it should be pretty good. I mean, if we go inside one of these, it's probably going to suck. Yeah, it's going to suck in terms of acoustics. I don't know if you can hear that. I've got my lapel mic on, but you should, yeah, I'm going to have to treat this somewhat, although once you get like furniture and stuff like that in, I've got acoustic panels. There's only so much I can hang stuff on the wall, but when I depart the place, I've got to leave it in the exact same condition. So carpet is in really good nick. I believe it's reasonably freshly painted. That painting, that chair, I'm going to have to get rid of. This, all this stuff, they actually left all that behind. They will be taking that away tomorrow. And in terms of, haven't seen inside one of these typical kitchenettes, they left all their phones and stuff. So obviously they had quite a few peeps in here who needed lots and lots of phones. So yeah, they left all their company documentation and all sorts of jazz behind. So anyway, this I'm going to use as like a server room and probably the stock room, because if you don't know, I've got 2 offices, I've got 2 locations at the moment, the 50 square meter lab and the 33 square meter office where I do the editing. So this is designed to consolidate those 2. So I've got more space. So pretty much all of this open space here, this open plan space, is like bigger than my current lab, which is great. I don't need a lot more extra room. You only like an extra 5 or 10 square meters does wonders. But now I can, of course, I can edit and do all my lab stuff in the same location. Much more convenient. So I'll use this as the server room. The NBN connection, I still have to get the NBN installed. So at the moment, I have no internet. I'll have to bring in like a wireless access point just to just to get some Wi-Fi in here for the time being. But they got this server rack, and you'll note that which is good because I've got a switch. Hang on, I think was somebody knocking. Was that knocking for me? Oh, geez, somebody turned up. Sorry. Hang on. So, yep. The furniture is gone. That was them just to pick it up. I'll just take that. So let's, what was I showing you last time? Anyway, yeah, lots of phones and crap. So let's go in here. Oh, yes, I was talking about the NBN internet. Still need to get the NBN hooked up. I assume that will come in here. I've got fiber optic to the door, exactly the same as the previous lab. So that could actually take up to 2 weeks. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Anyway, all these ones on here, these are all Cat 6, and all these ones here are Cat 5e. So it looks like they had like phones plugged into all these, but of course they're all Ethernet. They're all wired up, which is fantastic. This is this, telephone switching thing. So that's I don't think that's of any use to me whatsoever. Left, right. When you put joystick controllers in them, I don't. Bueller, is that of any use to me? I don't think so, because I've got a VoIP phone, so voice over internet. Oh, anyway, I just been moving furniture, so I'm all kind of sweaty and whatnot. Anyway, this is great. So I've got a 16 or is it 32-way gigabit Ethernet switch, which I found in the dumpster, which I use for the lab distribution. The good thing about this is that they've got 2 outlets in here, and they've got outlets everywhere, which is fantastic. And some of them are B, so those ones are B connections, and the ones in here, so they're all Cat 6 for those B ones. And so every room has at least 2 Ethernets. Every wall has 2 Ethernets. Yep, 2 Etherneties. I don't know why this room has the sprinkler. There doesn't seem to be one anywhere else, so not sure what the deal is there. Anyway, so this is where obviously this wall is the layout's going to be the same as the current lab. So when you walk in, at the moment I've got like my arcade cabinet there, and then my 3 main benches, and they will go along there. So I haven't actually measured anything yet, but it should they should fit. So technically I've got, in the current lab, I've got 3 4-way power points with power boards plugged into each one of them. So I might have enough, might not. Anyway, I've got no shortage of Ethernet over here at the bench. That's just like crazy. So yeah, it's fantastic. And over here, of course, this will be my mailbag bench. So I will no doubt, sorry, limited length. I do have a 3-meter extension cable for this Rode mic, which is fairly new. I just got it. Let me know what you think about the audio quality with the Rode mic, by the way. You probably haven't noticed, but yeah, that's what I've been using the last couple of videos. I've been micing myself up behind the camera. Sometimes I forget, like, because I've got to walk away from the camera, do something, you know, check a data sheet or do whatever, and then I walk back. This is still clipped onto the camera instead of onto my shirt, so oops. It's okay, it's Kevlar. Yeah, so this will be like the mailbag, set up exactly as it is before, the mailbag bench with all the shelving, L-shaped shelving like that. So yeah, it should be good. So on the distribution panel side of things, well, whoi, there we go. It's not very exciting. I only got 2 breakers for the whole lot for all the power in here, but that's all I've got in the current lab as well. No, it's not 3-phase or anything like that. It's just regular 240. I assume it'd be 240 in here, just like my other building. They'd all be on the same main trunk or whatever it is. But anyway, everything should remain pretty much exactly the same. And for those who are wondering, you know, is this going to turn into a dump like the current lab? Well, there's incentive for me not to actually do that, because, well, that's the tour of the lab anyway. There's incentive for me not to, I don't want to crouch down, incentive for me not to, because this is now rented, whereas I own the other lab, so I can just do whatever the hell I like to it. Whereas, you know, there might be, like, they can technically come and inspect this place at any time, but I'm allowed to do pretty much whatever I like. It's on the lease that this is an electronics lab and video production facility, so I'm allowed to do lab type stuff in here. As it all comes down to, with the lease, it all comes down to what's called a make good clause in the lease, that when you leave, it has to be pretty much in the same state as you left it, except for if I change the fit out, and then I'd have to get them to specifically authorise that. But I don't have to do anything. I shouldn't have to attach anything to the walls or anything like that. I can just plonk everything down. With my whiteboards and stuff, I've currently got those like anchored into the wall with those anchor plasterboard anchor screws. I think I might actually put my whiteboard, I might actually stick my whiteboard onto the glass with double-sided tape. I could do that here, or I could even like do it over there. Oh no, because the benches will be in the way. But maybe I could do it to my office here. Like, you know, stick a whiteboard on the glass, and then, you know, you can easily clean the glass or whatnot. So, you know, you don't have to damage the wall. So that's probably a solution for my whiteboards. There's no reason why I can't put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whiteboards in this office permanently attached to the walls without damaging them. So yeah, should be able to just unstick. You know, I've currently got stuff stuck onto glass at the current lab on the outside, signage and stuff. You can get really good gripping stuff, never comes off. Winner. So there you go. That's the lab. Acoustically, it's exactly the same as the other office. We've got the acoustic tiles on the roof. If you haven't seen them, sorry, it's why they've got this pattern. It's why they've got this sort of like speckled pattern, because they're actually acoustic. You know, they're sort of like they're designed, they're not hugely like, you know, acoustic, but they are somewhat absorbing and try and stop reflections and stuff like that. Most offices will have this sort of tile in to sort of just dampen the acoustics a bit. Sounds very echoey in here at the moment. You might not hear this with the close mic like this. And with mostly close mic work, shouldn't be a problem, but my mailbag, I do actually use the shotgun mic. Might have to change that, but it's the same as my current lab. So once I fill it with crap, it'll just sound like my current lab. And the good thing is that neighbours, it's not really a corner office, but basically on the other side of that wall there is the main entry foyer and the lifts. So I can actually just hear a slight ping when the lift goes off with the door closed. I can actually just hear it. It shouldn't come through on the videos at all, but there's basically no one on the other side of that wall, apart if people are talking, you know, like leaving in the afternoon, waiting for the lift, something like that. I might hear some voices. So hopefully that's not a problem. But I've got one person on the other side of the wall over there, but that's it. And of course the windows with the offices. So if I lock I'll probably take the middle one, because I think that's probably the biggest, and it's probably got, well, these two have got good views. This one's, it's got like a atrium type thing there. So yeah, I think I'll probably take that one there. So I'll be able to lock myself in there, treat that acoustically, do my editing and amp hour recording and voiceover work and stuff like that. But anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think of the new EEVblog lab. So I've got to now go, oh, that light's flickering. That's garbage. Anyway, yeah, lights, I've got to change. I've got to get more lights. So, because I've got more room in here now, I can probably put in, you know, big stand lights and stuff like that just to help, you know, spread some extra light around and things like that. So probably buy some more studio lights, some more overhead lights and stuff like that, because at the moment I had a bunch of overhead lights above the bench here, and that served both the bench and the mailbag. But because this room is now so damn big, and my mailbag bench is going to be all the way over there, the lights over here, which will probably go sort of maybe in that row there. This row here is probably maybe a bit too close, and the things are going that way. Oh, I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that, because I've got the square panels instead of the long ones. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'll need some extra lighting and stuff like that. But let me know what you think of the new EEVblog lab. Should be much more convenient than having the lab in the separate office. And by the way, it should also be, technically, in the long run, it should be cheaper. So I should be financially better off with this one office, with this one rented office. It is a lot of money. it is $40,000 a year to rent this 100 square metre office. And that's actually pretty cheap for this business park. In this same building, to get there, you can, there are others of this same size, and they're like $8 grand more expensive, 8 to 10, depending on the fit out, because this office isn't what's called, you know, fitted out. It doesn't, well, no, it is. It has a fit out, it's got offices, but it doesn't really have anything else. It doesn't have nice fancy feature walls and all that, you know, wankery, which you'll pay extra for. So if you're a company that's, as in most companies in these sort of corporate office buildings, they've got, you know, clients which come in, they're either, you know, they're real estate agents or they're lawyers or they're, you know, whatever it is. These professional services, they have clients come in, it's got to look all fancy and wanky and all that sort of stuff. So that's why this one, actually, I got cheaper, because they've been on the market for a while, because, you know, maybe it was extra work to turn this into something fancy-pantsy or something like that. But yeah, so other ones can go for more expensive than that, but it's 40 grand a year, but I should actually be better off, assuming I can rent my lab out. So once I clean the lab out, because I own it, I've got to recarpet it, because it's all the original carpet. So I don't know, it's like 10, 12 years old at least, something like that, and it's had a lab for the last like 7 years or whatever. And so I've got to redo the carpet, probably have to repaint, something like that. And then I've got to try and rent it out, and hopefully somebody wants it, because there's no windows in it. It's windowless, so I'm not going to hesitate, even if I can. I'll eventually rent it out. You can rent anything at a price. So yeah, depending on how much I get for that, I think I'm going to be financially better off with this place, even though I'm paying 40 grand a year. For those that ask, rent is dead money and all that sort of stuff, I totally agree. But at the moment, prices in this business park in the last 3 years have doubled, more than doubled. So it's been horrific, which commercial real estate like this virtually never does. It's almost unheard of for a business park to double in value, or like commercial premises to double in value in a couple of years. You used to get a 10% return easy, more than 10% return on a commercial office like this. So, you know, a lot of people would buy them in their self-managed super funds and things like that, so that all this talk may not be equivalent to overseas, so sorry. Anyway, in Australia, you can have your own retirement fund. I think it's 401k American or whatever. A lot of people will buy a commercial office like this because the returns were very good. But in the last couple of years, they've doubled in price. Now the returns are like, if you're getting 4 or 5%, you're doing well. So it's still better than residential real estate, which is getting naff all. It's almost negative. By the time you take out the expenses and everything else, it's basically negative. You make a loss. And in Australia, you're allowed to have that as a tax deduction. It's called negative gearing. It's a bit of a scam, but Australians love it, and the government doesn't want to change it. Anyway, so the good thing about commercial offices is that the leasee, i.e. me, pays all what's called the outgoings. So they pay all of the strata fees to the building to maintain the building and everything else. For the cleaning and stuff like that, and maintenance of the lifts and the maintenance of the grounds and the whole works of keeping a commercial office building like this around, as well as the council rates and and of course you've got to pay your own water and power and stuff like that. Power works. I might just keep using it until someone complains that I need to go until the lights turn off, maybe. Anyway, so maybe I could be down for a couple of days until No, I should do the right thing and get my own electricity service provider. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so you pay for all these outgoings. So in theory, if you own one of these offices, then assuming you can get it rented out, you shouldn't have to pay anything. It's just, you just get the money in and that's it. And the leasee, the person who leases it, pays for everything. So, you know, it's not a bad deal, but the returns are terrible these days. That's why I can't buy a place like this to get. Like, I need like a minimum of 100 square meters, right? I'm currently in 88 square meters, maybe, you know, a bit under. You could say this is a bit over what I need, slightly, but 88, say 100 square meters in this business park, which I want to maintain my lifestyle that's close to home. I don't want to have to commute in Sydney, which is horrible. Yes, I could get a place for twice as big, for not quite half the price, but for much cheaper. if I was scraping every cent. But then I'd have to commute every day, which I don't want to do. I've done that for all my career and I don't want to do it again. So I pay a premium for being within walking and bike riding distance and a 2-minute car drive from my house, which is fantastic. So in this business park, to get 100 square meters is $800,000 plus. I could get something bigger than this down the other end of the park, which again is a nightmare to get to. I'm at the good end of the convenient end of the park. The horrible end of this business park that I'm in is, I could get something cheaper, maybe $650,000, $700,000 for over 100 square meters, but it's not going to be, it'll be like just dead warehousey kind of, you know. They've got ones that are half office like this and half warehouse, and they're kind of cool. And I went to inspect one of those for lease, and I looked at buying them before, way back when I originally bought the lab, and they're just big concrete coffins. They're not, you know, like if I was doing lots of like drill pressing and, you know, lathes and all sorts of real crap, dirty, filthy metal and woodwork and all that sort of stuff, yeah, you'd want a workshop like that. But for me, my uses for electronics lab stuff, just making videos, you know, doing teardowns and mailbags and whatnot, doing tutorial videos, this sort of office type space is much better. So yeah, so I'm looking, you know, so for one of these, I'm looking at $800,000, $8,000 a square meter to $10,000 a square meter is what this business park is a typical cost for this business park now, because as I said, more than doubled in a couple of years. And like, I'm not going to take out an $800,000 loan or $1 million loan. Well, let's say $800,000 loan to do that. So I'm hoping with all the market turmoil at the moment, maybe another GFC thrown in, who knows, the market could settle. These aren't going to go up anymore, I don't think. So waiting for a couple, so I'm going to use this 2-year lease. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground, have a look around. Maybe I might be able to buy something, but getting a loan for me, who's self-employed, even though I'm a company, is actually very difficult. And getting a loan, but I can get one. But getting a loan for a commercial office, that's not like residential loans. You might be able to get your 3.8% interest rate for your house. Try getting a loan for a commercial office space. We're talking, 6%? Something like that. So we're talking, you know, almost double the interest rate, and they want like 30, 40% deposit. None of this 10 or 20% rubbish. No, they want at least double that deposit if you can even get it. So yeah, it's really bad. Getting an $800,000 loan, even though the interest rates are low for a commercial office complex like this, it's just no, it's not a good move. So going to rent for a couple of years, yeah, cost me 40 grand a year. That includes outgoings. It's actually just about 30, really, but with all the outgoings and the expenses and stuff, it's close to 40 a year, $40,000 a year to just have this space, but I need it. What can you do? It's part of doing business. So there you go. That is the new EEVblog lab. I've waffled on enough. What's that, half an hour waffle? Anyway, let me know what you think. Catch you next time.